Hello and welcome to another episode of Disney Movie Investigation. If this is your first time watching, welcome to the show. In each episode, we take a look at a movie that is featured on Disney+. On this episode, we're taking a look at the movie that started it all in terms of the Star Wars universe as we take a look at Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. And if you are enjoying these episodes, please hit that subscribe button. That way you'll be notified with each new video. But for now, sit back and enjoy this episode of Disney Movie Investigation. So like I said, today we are covering Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. This movie was released on May 25th, 1977. It was written and directed by George Lucas. The production company was Lucasfilm Limited, and it was distributed by 20th Century Fox. The budget for this movie was $11 million, and it did a box office return of $775.8 million. But let's take a look at the production. So I'm not going to cover everything because there's been entire books written on Star Wars and how George Lucas came up with the idea, and I don't want this video to be 4 hours long, so I'm just going to cover over some of the highlights that I found interesting in doing some of my research for this video. So George Lucas would have an idea for a fantasy space opera in 1971 with an original plan to make a Flash Gordon film. However, when Lucas attempted to purchase the rights to Flash Gordon, he discovered that they had already been purchased by Don De Laurentiis. Lucas would then start to write his own space fantasy story, and Lucas would convince United artist David Pecker to take a chance on both the space opera as well as American Graffiti. The studio would ultimately decline to produce American Graffiti, but Universal soon picked up the rights and distributed it as their own. In 1973, Lucas began developing his own space opera idea and would develop a script along with several sequels. Originally titled Journey of the Willis and it followed the story of C.J. Thorpe, an apprentice Jedi Brundi who was an apprentice to Mace Windu. United Artists would decline to fund the picture, and Universal would agree that it was interesting, but had doubts that Lucas could pull off such an expansive venture. Paramount and Disney would also decline to finance the film, and finally 20th Century Fox would agree to finance the picture and gave Lucas $150,000 to write and direct the picture. But after the success of American Graffiti, Lucas retained the merchandise and sequel rights to his space opera that was to be titled later. In terms of some casting notes, Lucas preferred the cast to be unknown actors, and some of the actors that were considered for Luke Skywalker included Roddy Benson, Kurt Russell, Charles Martin Smith, and some of the actors considered for Princess Leia included Karen Allen, Cindy Williams, and Jodie Foster. In terms of the cast of the movie, so Mark Hamill is Luke Skywalker, Harrison Ford as Han Solo, Carrie Fisher as Princess Leia, Peter Cushing as General Moff Tarkin, Alec Guinness as Obi-Wan Kenobi, Anthony Daniels as C-3PO, Kenny Baker as R2-D2, Peter Mayhew as Chewbacca, David Prowse, who was the film acting of Darth Vader, with James Earl Jones providing the voice of Darth Vader. In terms of the plot, a young farmer named Luke joins a mission to rescue Princess Leia from the clutches of the evil Darth Vader, with the help of an old wise mentor named Obi-Wan Kenobi, a smuggler named Han Solo, a droid duo of R2-D2 and C-3PO. They set out on an adventure across the galaxy to deliver secret plans that could save the galaxy. They face thrilling battles, meet strange creatures, all while striving to defeat the oppressive Empire and its planet-destroying weapon. As they work together, Luke discovers his own hidden potential and learns about the power of the Force. So in terms of the marketing of this movie, while the film was being made, Dan Perry would create a logo for the movie that would match the style of the opening crawl logo. However, it would end up not being used for the movie, but it was featured on many posters and marketing material. The logo eventually selected was used on promotional brochures that Fox created to distribute to theaters. That was developed by Susie Rice. Tom Jung was contacted to create the promotional poster for US theaters, and because Fox executives thought the original poster was too dark, they commissioned the brothers Hildebrandt to modify the poster for UK theaters. However, this poster was also replaced after opening with a new poster developed by Tom Chantrell. Fox believed very little in this project and would give limited marketing with only t-shirts and posters. Charlie Lipcott, who was a Fox marketing director, went out on his own to make deals with Marvel Comics for comic books and novelization books with Del Rey Books. In terms of merchandising, little Star Wars merchandise was available for several months after the film came out, as Kenner was the only toy company that agreed to make toys based on the film. There is a great documentary on Netflix that goes over the toy merchandising aspect of Star Wars called The Toys That Made Us, and one of the episodes is on Star Wars toys, and it is very, very interesting if you want kind of more details about how the tide and struggles of making Star Wars toys. Kenner would respond to increased demands by selling vouchers that they could be redeemed for toys because they didn't produce enough toys for the demand that would be of Star Wars toys. And these vouchers would be sold during Christmas season, and they could be redeemed in February and June of 1978. The novel based on the film was titled Star Wars: From the Adventures of Luke Skywalker, and this was released in April of 1977. Lucasfilm would also release a story for the book as well as a record set, and these were both released in 1979. In terms of accolades, the movie would go on to win 6 Academy Awards, and these included Best Costume, Best Sound, and Best Visual Effects. On May 30th, 1977, Time would actually name Star Wars as the Movie of the Year. And then the screenplay written by George Lucas would be ranked as the 68th greatest screenplay of all time by the Writers Guild of America. In terms of recommending this film, I think everyone has seen this film. If you haven't seen it, definitely go see it. I think the movie still holds up. Not going to get into the controversy of the special edition and the original edition, all that kind of jazz. That's for a separate video, separate podcast. But I really like this movie. The characters hold up, and this is the one that started it all. So it definitely is worth rewatching if you haven't seen it, or even if you haven't seen it in a long time. It is definitely one that I do go back often to kind of check out. And I just remember fond memories of watching it growing up. So again, this one gets kind of a double thumbs up, and one that I definitely recommend if you haven't seen it. So thank you so much for joining us here on another episode of Disney Movie Investigation. I would invite anyone to please leave a comment below on what their favorite memory of Star Wars Episode 4 is. And as we look forward to our next episode, we're going to take a dramatic turn as we take a look at a comedy based on an old TV show, as we take a look at the Beverly Hillbillies. And stay tuned for a bonus episode as we take a look at the Davy Crockett Explorer Canoes ride in Disneyland. So until next time, I hope you have a magical day, and we will see you real soon.